So before moving on to the lecture today, I will talk to you some assignment. Let you know some assignment due this week. The first thing is the online homework. So you have 10.1, 10.2, and 10.4 due this week. And we have online handling homework due on Thursday this week also. The last time, okay, I told you before. And this week we have one exam, okay? This is exam 3. So it will be available on April 1st and Tuesdays. And if you have any trouble when you do the exam, so you can submit to me the solution of your question into this assignment. This is optional, the partial credit for exam 3. Okay. Maybe you will get some partial credit for this. And regarding the exam 3, so I posted the sample exam on Canvas. So when you look into the Canvas, so you will see the sample exam 3 here. Okay, in week 12, so you put on this, you look at the exam here. It will cover the chapter 7, chapter 8, and section 10.1 of the chapter 10. Okay, and in this exam, you only have the 23 questions. 23 questions, just 22 questions. So I give you 2 hours for this. 2 hours, only 2 hours. Okay. Any question? And we will finish the class on. Let me see. We will finish the class on. Let's see. Okay, look at here. We will finish the class on Friday 22. And regarding the syllabus, I see we will have the test, the exam 4 on 25. But it's up to you. If you want to take the exam before this day, maybe on this week, from 18 to 22, so you can. I will give the poll for you, and after that we will vote for it. Or if you want to get the test for before the semester ends, so we can do this. Okay. Any question? Okay. So now I will go to the lecture today. Okay. Session 10.1, 10.2. Let me download. Okay. So today we will learn how about the hypothesis testing for population means and proportion. It's section 10.2 and 10.4. And last time we learned about the hypothesis testing, right? Hypothesis testing, just the basic. We know what about the null hypothesis, what about alternative hypothesis, but we don't know how to evaluate, how to make a decision, how to make a conclusion about the hypothesis testing, right? So today we will learn how to do it. We will learn how to make a conclusion about the hypothesis testing, okay? And here is some yes, exactly. If you need section 1, if you have section 10.1 here. If you don't have a section 10.1, that is here. Okay, fundamental of hypothesis testing. Okay.
Which one is it?
It's the 10.1, the previous class. Okay. If you don't have this, so get one.
Have this one.
You have this one?
I think so.
Okay. Thank you. Here are some general steps in the hypothesis test. You have some general testing here. The first step here is you will state the nodes and alternative hypothesis. You know about this in the previous class. If you don't know that, you can see the handout fundamentals of hypothesis testing to know how to do it. The first thing, when you make a conclusion about the hypothesis testing, you need to state the null and alternative hypothesis, right? Okay, this is the first thing. And the step two, you need to determine which distribution to use for the test statistic and state the level of significance. In this step, you just check the condition. Okay, you can see the table here. We have the table in the section 2. Okay, we have two kind of hypothesis testing. The first one, we will make the decision about the population means. The second one, we will make the conclusion about the population proportion. And you will look at the condition to apply when you want to use the method to do the hypothesis testing. Okay. Regarding the hypothesis testing for population mean, you have the condition here. We have the condition here. In this one, you have to know the population standard deviation, and the sample taken is random symbol. Okay, and the sample size is at least 30, right? Okay, that is the sum condition for the population mean. And similarly to the population proportion. Okay, the difference between the population mean and population proportion here is the sample size will be satisfy this equation. Okay, but the sample size here it just needs to be at least 30. Okay, that's the difference between the population mean and population proportion. That is step 2. Step 2, we will check the condition. We will check the condition of the hypothesis testing. We need to check the population mean, or we need to check the population proportion. That is step 2. And okay, what about the step 3? Step 3, we will calculate the test statistic. Okay, what about the test statistic here? This depends on the question. If the question gives you the population mean, they ask you to make the hypothesis test about population mean. So you need to calculate the test statistic and follow. Okay, if they ask you to test about population proportion, you need to use the formula like this. You don't need to remember these formulas, but you need to know when you use this formula or when you use this formula. Okay, that is step 3. And step 4, we will draw a conclusion and interpret the decision. Okay, I will talk to you about step 4 later. And now I will give you some example to do some step 1, 2, and 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, maybe. So I will write it down here. Okay. Okay. So I look at the example 1. So I will do some step of the hypothesis testing. Hypothesis testing. Okay. Okay, the first step when we do the hypothesis testing is the state, the null, and alternative. Hypothesis. Okay, that we need to say what we need to do, to do the hypothesis testing. Let me show you the example for this. We need to state the null and alternative hypothesis. Okay, in this example, the question here is which kind of hypothesis testing they ask you, the mean, or they ask you about the proportion. Which kind of hypothesis testing in this example? Mean or proportion. Okay, Maria.
Me.
Okay, exactly. Thank you. They ask you the mean of the. They need you test the mean, right? When you look at the question, so they ask you the mean. So we have two kind of hypothesis. The first one is the null hypothesis. The second one is alternative hypothesis, denoted by H alpha, and the null hypothesis is the H0. Okay. And the H alpha, the alternative hypothesis, is the statement of the researcher. Is statement of the researcher. When they do the research, they will give the statement about the alternative hypothesis. Okay, the hypothesis is about the researcher. Okay, the researcher. Okay, the researcher claimed that the mean of women in California of first marriage is higher than 26.5 years, right? So that means that the alternative hypothesis in male here is greater than 26.5. Is it clear, guys? That is the alternative hypothesis. And regarding the null hypothesis, that is the opposite side of the researcher and have the equal side. That means the male here is equal to 26.5. That is the null hypothesis, right? Yeah, that is the first step when you do the hypothesis testing. Step 2. Step 2 here we will determine which distribution to use for the test statistic and state the level of significance. In this step, that teachers you need to check the condition. Need to check the condition. Okay, look at the slide here. Okay, so now we need to check the condition about how to we have here is the population mean. So you look at the condition to apply how to test the population means, right? We have two conditions. Here is the proportion, here is the population mean. So now we will need to check this condition, right? Check this condition. And let you see. You see in the example. So you have the population standard deviation, right? Have the standard deviation is 2.3. Okay, that's fine. Satisfy the first one. The sample taken is simple random sample. You look at the question, surveying a simple random sample. So it satisfies the second condition, right? Okay. And the sample size is at least 30. And here you see that the sample size is at least is 213, right? Sample size here, 213. So it's satisfied, right? Satisfy the condition. And okay, this satisfy the condition here, so you don't need to check the population distribution, right? Satisfy. Okay. And they give you the level of confidence. You see here is 95%. That means C here is 0.95. Okay, that's all the things. And in step 2, they ask you to find the level of significance, right? The level of significance. So how to do that? How to calculate the level of significance? The level of significance is calculated by this formula. The alpha is equal, okay, the level of significance is denoted by alpha, so it's calculated by 1 minus C. Okay, and you have C here is 0.95, so level of significance is 1 minus 0.95, so it is 0.05. Is it clear, guys? That's either how to calculate the level of significance. Okay, that we finish 2 steps. Step 2, step 1, step 2. State the null and check the condition about the hypothesis testing. We finish step 1 and step 2. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay, that is step 1 and that's step 2. And regarding the step 3. Okay. we move on to the step 3. Step 3, we need to calculate the test statistics. Statistics, right? Okay, and to do this, you need to look at the table in the section 2. Look at the table in the section 2. Because the question is about the population mean, so the test statistic is calculated by this formula. Okay, so we use this formula here. So Z here is equal to H bar minus mu over sigma over square root of n. Okay, so now you relate the H bar mu sigma to the question. What is the H bar here? Could you tell me what is and the H bar here is the sample mean, the sample mean. So you look at the mean of the sample here, 213 women, right? So look at this. What is the sample mean in this case? What is sample mean in this case? Okay, you look at the second sentence. Surveying a simple random sample of 213 newly women in California, the researcher found a mean age of 27 years, right? So this means that the sample mean here is 27, right? The sample mean here is 27. And the mu here, okay, the mu here is 26.5. That is the mu of the null hypothesis. Okay, mu here is the null hypothesis. And sigma they give you is 2.3. Okay, and n here is 213. That is the test statistic you need to calculate, and the answer for this is approximately 3.17. 3.17. That is the test statistic. Okay, that we finish step 3. Any questions so far? Okay, we finish step 3. And how? Okay, we go to the step 4. Step 4 here we need to draw a conclusion. Draw conclusion. And how to do this? How to draw the conclusion? Okay, so to draw the conclusion, I write down here. You need to see the section 3. How to use the information. You have the information, all information here. So how do we summarize all information and make a conclusion? Okay, that is the section 3. That is section 3. Okay, section 3 here. How to interpret the decision, how to make the decision. Here we have 2 methods. We have 2 methods to do it. It depends on you. It's up to you to use the method. If you're familiar, if you see the method 1 is easy for you, so you can use the first method. If you see that the second method is fine for you, so you can do the second method. So I will tell you what is the method 1. The method 1 is called rejection region. Rejection region. Okay. And rejection region is determined by 2 things: the type of hypothesis test and the level of significance. Okay. How to determine the type of hypothesis test? Okay, look at here. To determine the type of test, simply look at the symbols contained in the alternative hypothesis. So you look at the alternative hypothesis here. So you see that the symbol here is the greater than, right? Okay, inequality is that either greater than, right? Greater than value. So this is the type of hypothesis test here is the right tail test, right? This is the right tail test. Is it clear, guys? So you look at the alternative hypothesis and you will check what is the type of the hypothesis test. And here the alternative is mu is greater than 26.5. That means the type of hypothesis test is right tail test, right? Right tail test. That is the first one. And right tail test and left tail test called one tail test, right? One tail test. And if the value is different, so that is called two tail test. Okay. And now, how to determine the rejection region? After, when we finish the step 3, we need to find critical values. Critical value, you use the table to find the critical value. And after that, we will look at the condition here. If the z is less than negative z alpha, then we reject the null hypothesis. If the z greater than z alpha, so we will reject the null hypothesis. Okay, it depends on the question. So now this is the right tail test. So you will look at the z alpha. We need to check these conditions. We need to check if z is greater than or z alpha, right? Okay, don't have any space to write down. Okay, so I will erase these and I write z here is 3.17 here. So 3.17 here. Okay, and now we will move on to the step 4 and use the method 1. Make a decision. We will move on to step 2, method 1. Okay. And to do that, the first thing you need to calculate the time. You need to determine the time of the test. The time of the test here is the right tail test, right? Right tail test. Because the symbol here is the greater than, right? So this is the right tail test. Okay. This is the first thing in the step 4. And the second one, we need to calculate the z alpha. What is z alpha here? So you use the table 10.1, so you find the z alpha here. To find z alpha, you look at the level of significance or level of confidence. They give you the level of significance here is 0.05. So you look at the table 10.1. We have the level of significance here is this number, right? Okay. So look at the one tail test here. One tail test here. So it's 1.645, right? 1.645. So using the table 10.1. So that is calculate the z alpha. And now we will look at the condition here. For the right tail test, we need to check the condition z. If z is greater than or z alpha, we need to check this condition. That means we need to compare the test statistic and the critical value. Okay. So you look at here. This is the test statistic. It is the critical value. So you will compare them. So you see that 3.17 will greater than 1.645. That means that the z will greater than z alpha, right? So that means that it satisfies the condition here. Z greater than z alpha. And when z greater than z alpha, so we will make the decision that we will reject the null hypothesis. Is it clear? Because it satisfies this condition, so we will reject the null hypothesis. Okay? And so conclusion here is reject the null hypothesis. Okay?
So if it was z is less than z theta, would it be failed to reject the null hypothesis?
Yeah. If it doesn't satisfy, like z is less than z alpha, so we will fail to reject the null hypothesis. That's a good question. Thank you. Okay. Any question, guys? Okay. So it depends on the test. So you look at here, right tail test or left tail test or two tail test. So you check the condition for this corresponding condition. That is the first method to do this. And the second method is called p-values. Okay. The second method is p-values. Okay. Sometimes we use the p-values. Sometimes we use the rejection region to do this in the step 4. And step 1, 3, 2, and 3 is the same. But the step 3 is have two methods to do this when you make a decision. Okay. And now we move on to the method 2. The method 2. Method 2 here is the p-value. p-value. Hi. P-values. How to calculate this? And the p-values here, the p-values is the probabilities of obtaining a sample statistic at extreme or more extreme than one observed in the data when the null hypothesis is assumed to be true. So when you look at this, maybe it's a complicated sentence, right? But I write down here for you to find the p-values. Okay, it depends on the test. The p-value here will be calculated like this for a left-hand test. I calculate by this, and the p-value here is calculated by this for a right-hand test, and the p-value here is the probability like this for a two-hand test. So it depends on the kind of test. Okay, it depends on the kind of test. Okay, and after that you have two conditions about p-values. If the p-values is less than, okay, A here is alpha, so maybe I write down here alpha. Alpha here is the level of significance, right? And if p-value is less than the level of significance, then we reject the null hypothesis. If the p-value is greater than the level of significance, then we fail to reject the null hypothesis. We just fail to reject the null hypothesis. That doesn't mean that we accept the null hypothesis. Okay? That is the method 2. Okay, so now I will calculate the p-value here. The p-value here. Okay, I will erase the. Okay, the p-values here. So will be probabilities. Okay, the p-value. Okay, this is the right-hand test, right? This is the right-hand test. So the p-value here will be z greater than the test statistic. Test statistic here is 3.17. Okay. So to know how to do this, you know, using the normal distribution table in chapter 6 to find the p-value here. Okay. Okay. So how to find this probability? Draw the picture for this. In the chapter 6, 3.7. Okay. This means that we need to find the area of this one. Right? To do this, you need to find. You use the table. Use the table to find it. And okay, so maybe you have the table for this. Use the table in chapter 6 to find the area of this one. It's this one. Okay. So could you tell me what is the area of this one? To find this, you need to find the area of this one, the y area. So you will check the table and find 3.1 and 7. So this means you need to find. Anybody tell me what is the value of these areas? You don't have table. Okay, so you don't have table. So this means that the value here is 0.9992. That is the y area. Okay, but we need to find the black area. Okay, so this area will be 1 because the whole area is 1. So this is 1 minus to the y area. So this will be equal to 0.008. Is it clear, guys? That is to find the probabilities. So that means the b value here is 0.008. Okay. So we have the b value here. Okay. Approximately. Okay, when we have the b value, so we need to compare this value to level of significance. Okay. The level of significance here is alpha is 0.05. Okay. And if the p-value less than the level of significance, then we reject the null hypothesis. In this case, we have the p-value here is 0.008, and this is less than the level of significance. So look at this. If the p-value is less than level of significance, then we reject the null hypothesis. Okay? Okay. In this one, we will reject it. Okay? Any questions so far about this? Okay, that is we finished example 1. So now we will look at the example. Okay, example 2 you can look at by yourself. So we move on to the example 3. Example 3. The local school board has been advertising that at least 65% of voters had favor a tax increase to pay for a new school. So could you tell me which kind of test is this example? The proportion or means? Okay, proportion. Thank you, Lee. Okay, proportion. Okay, this is about the proportion. So the first step here, we need to state the null and hypothesis testing. The step 1. We will check the H0, what is alpha, and here, what is the alternative hypothesis? What is the alternative hypothesis? Could you tell me what is the alternative hypothesis in this example? Maria again.
It would be less than 65%.
Exactly. P is less than 65%, or we can write 0.65. And of course, the null hypothesis is 0.65. Okay? That is the step 1. And step 2. Step 2, we will check the condition. Check the condition. To check the condition, so you look at the table here. Check the table here. Okay, look at the condition to apply. So in this code, we don't study about a binomial distribution. So the second condition are always satisfied. So we don't care about this. The sample is simple random sample. They have in this question, they simple random sample. So that finished. This is satisfied the first condition, and we only need to check the condition. NB is greater than 5, and check this. And N1 minus P is greater than 5. Okay, we need to check this. And of course, it's satisfied, so you can write down here. And P here is, okay, what is N here? N here is 50, right? N here is 50. And P here is 0.5, 0.65. So you have this number is the 32.5, so it's greater than 5. Exactly. And N1 minus P here is 20 times 1 minus 0.65. So it's equal to 17.5. So it's also greater than 5. So it's satisfied. It's satisfied condition. When you do the multiple choice, so you can skip this step. Okay, you can skip this. But if you do the test, you need to write down solution in handing homework. So you need to check this. You need to check the condition. Okay. If you do the online homework, you don't need to check this condition, right? You don't need to check this. But when you do the handing homework or you do the test, they ask you to write down, so you need to write these conditions. Okay. And the second, in the sixth step, you need to state the level of significance. The level of significance, alpha is 1 minus C, C is level of confidence. Okay? So we have the level of confidence here is 95%. So this 1 minus 0.95, that is 0.05. Okay, that is step 2. We finish step 2. Any question? Step 2, just like this. Okay. Don't have questions in this step? Okay. Step 3. Step 3, we need to calculate the test statistic. Okay, how to calculate this? Okay, look at this table. This is the hypothesis testing for population proportion. So we use this to calculate the test statistic. And Z here is calculated by this formula. And square root of P 1 minus P over N. Okay, what is P hat here? Okay, so we need to find B hat, right? B hat is the sample proportion. Is sample proportion. So you can look at the third statement. That's the sentence. To test his belief, his staff asked the simple random sample of 50 of his constituents whether they favor the tax increase, and 27 said that they would vote in favor of the tax increase. They asked 30 people. This is a sample, right? And 27 people. This is his one. And this means that the B hat here will be 27 over 50, right? That is the sample proportion. 27 over 50. And minus to the population proportion. The population proportion here is 0.65, and square root of 0.65 times 1 minus 0.65 over N here. N here is 50. Okay. So use calculator. So you will get Z here. Will be approximately negative 1.60. Z here is negative 163. That is the step 3. Any questions so far about the step 3? Any questions so far about step 3? Just calculate the Z value. Now we move on to the step 4. We will make a decision. Make a decision based on the information we found here. Based on the information we found here. Make a decision. How to do this? How to make the decision? Okay, here I will use the p-value method. That is second method to find, to make the decision. Okay, I will use the method 2. The p-value. Okay, p-value here. So we need to the first thing we need to type of test. Which type of test here? We have 3 types of tests. Which kind of test in this case? Which kind of test in this case? Left tail test, right tail test, or two tail test? Which kind of test here? Okay, Madeline.
Left tail.
Okay, thank you. Because the symbol here is less than, right? Less than, so it's the left tail test. So the type of test here is the left tail test. First thing. Okay, to the left tail test, if this is the left tail test, so the B values will be calculated like this. Right? The B value will be calculated like this. B value will be probabilities of Z less than test statistic. What is test statistic here? Test statistic is the negative 1.63. So to find this probability, so we will use the table in chapter 6, normal distribution table in chapter 6. Okay, look at the table, so we will find negative 163, so it is, let me see, 0.0516. Okay, is it clear, guys? That is just the how to find this. You know how to find it in the chapter 6. So look at it if you forgot. So look at the chapter 6 lectures. Okay, we find the p-value, and the final one we need to compare the p-value and the level of significance. Okay, if the p-value is less than a, so we reject. If the p-value is greater than a, we fail to reject. Okay, and alpha here is 0.05, and this one is 0.016, right? So we have the p-value here is greater than 0.05. That means that the p-value is greater than alpha, right? In this case, with the decision we need to make.
Fail or reject.
Oh yeah, fail to reject. Thank you. We fail to reject. Okay, clear, guys? Now we finish. Okay. This you need to do more exercise on the online homework and to prepare for the exam, the first exam. So look at the sample test. On Wednesday, I will review chapter 7, chapter 8, and chapter 10 for you to do the exam. Okay. So now I will make the attendance for you. Max here. Anna here, Laurel here, right? She here, coming here. Eileen, Bob Dean, Christopher Dollar, Jay Ely, Mackenzie, Robin, Bennett Rossinger, Abdul Hamid, German Peter, Kipling here, Liz here, James here, Delaney here, Madeline here, Odelia, Alona, okay, Matu, okay, Rick here, Tyler here, Alias Bit here, not Yassi, Sullivan, Maria here, Thomas here, Ria, Cameron, Arthur, Tyler. Okay, thank you for your attention. So we need to meet on Wednesday. Okay. If you have any questions, so ask me now. Forgot to. 3 right? You have this? Okay. Bye bye.